Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications.
Hope you're doing well today. It is May the 15th. And I have a lot of questions to cover again today, which is great. If you do have a question, please feel free to post your question as a comment. And I do recommend you posting your question in the latest video. If you post your question as a response to somebody's comment 20 videos ago, I'm probably going to miss it. So if I did miss your question, repost it again, and I'll do my best to answer it. You can also email me directly at searchforsigns@mail.com. All right. This one comes from Logan. Want to be friends? Whew, I can't get out of the friend zone. Sure, let's be friends, Logan. So, like I said, I might ask you to help me come and do some yard work. I've been doing yard work this week. So, all right, next question. I have for a while been researching about the Great White Brotherhood. I assume that Maitreya is a member. Do you have any concrete information about the GWB, especially in relation to your knowledge about Maitreya and the other Ascended Masters? Now, from what I understand about the Ascended Masters, that most of the information that about the Ascended Masters comes from people like Elizabeth Clare Prophet and stuff like this from the 70s, and it kind of extenuated it out from there, and people claim to have channeled the information from these Ascended Masters. I don't subscribe to that type of belief. My information is coming more from Alice Bailey and Benjamin Creme, Helena Roerich, and of course Helena Blavatsky. Their approach to the Masters was much more scientific and practical. Their approach of these Masters to humanity is not mystical or kind of woo-woo. It's governed by the law of harmlessness, and it's governed by the law of cause and effect, but it's very practical, and that's and scientific. That's what kind of drew me to it more than what I've read from people like Elizabeth Clare Prophet who, take a different approach to it. So the Great White Brotherhood is a name that has been used when describing the hierarchy of masters or the masters of wisdom, and Maitreya is the head and leader of that group. All right, let's see. Next one. Quote, "We are souls with bodies," unquote. I like that because God knew us before the foundation of the world. Yes, the soul is immortal. The body and the personality is what changes from lifetime to lifetime. And the process of incarnation is what leads us to the point where eventually the soul and the personality become totally infused. And a person who would be at that level would be somebody like Jesus or Leonardo da Vinci or Helena Blavatsky or somebody like that. And very, very, it happens, and it will eventually happen to all of us, but it's a very rare thing right now because there's just not too many of them out there. But those people who are at that level, you can't tell the difference between their soul and their personality because they're totally at one with, their personality and their soul are at one. For most of us, we're still, gaining more and more contact with our soul and becoming aware that we are even souls a lot of times. So it's all a part of the process. All right. Which ray am I? I was fortunate enough when Benjamin Creme was alive to be able to ask him my ray structure. And you had to get close. He always said that you had to work it out yourself and try to figure it out yourself. And if you were close enough, he would ask his master, and his master would confirm it or whatever. If you were too far off, he wouldn't answer it. So I spent several months reading his books and the stuff reading about the vices and the virtues of the rays, and did a lot of self-analysis and definitely looked at it. And I was real close, actually. I wasn't too far off. I do have a second ray soul, and my personality is a fourth ray. And they all have their own challenges. Not so much the second ray soul, but the second ray soul doesn't have any challenges. It's divine just like anything else. But when you look at the rays of your personality, you start seeing the things that you need to work on, the things that have held you back. One of the things that Benjamin Creme said that, the thing that people hold most dear, that say, if I'm not anything, I am such and such, right? That's usually the thing that holds you back the most. One of the things that I looked at in my ray structure that was the most challenging was my third ray mind. People who have a third ray mind have a tendency to wax intellectual and talk real fast sometimes. So even when I do these videos, I go in with every intention of keeping it real simple. And I end up talking everybody's ear off. So it's hard to reel it in, but that comes from my third ray mind. What's the ray structure of, I guess, of Trump? If I had to guess, I would say his ray structure is probably very similar to the United States. That's why people find him so relatable. Even though he seems not very compassionate toward those who relate to him. He doesn't seem he doesn't relate to them very well, but people relate to him very well, I guess. So, the rays of this country are the second ray soul and the sixth ray personality. All right. And then it says, an unexamined life isn't worth living. By the way, on the Ethiopian calendar, September 23rd, 2012 is May 31st, 2020, whatever that means. The fat lady hasn't sung yet. I think all religions have a piece of the puzzle. I couldn't agree more. Maybe the Mayans weren't wrong after all. Now, I wasn't saying the Mayans were wrong about anything. I was just saying the ending of their calendar does not relate to Maitreya coming out. All right. What is your opinion on Linda Moulton Howe? She seems to shine with a positive light. Check her out. I did, actually. And I think anyone who's asking questions in the public about extraterrestrials and what our country knew about extraterrestrials and so forth is all aces in my book. Whether I agree with everything that they say or not is immaterial. I think that this is all a part of the process of us becoming aware of that wonderful truth that we are not alone in the universe. It's just a question of why are they here and where do they come from, right? Well, I subscribe to what George Adamski and Benjamin Creme said, that they're not coming from farther than our own solar system, mainly Venus and Mars. But, eventually Maitreya will, when he's asked out, he's known for who he is, and people will ask him, what about people from other planets? Are we alone in the universe? Or however they ask him that question. And he will confirm for people that they're here on a spiritual mission, and they've been helping us all along, and they're not here to harm us at all. So anyway, we'll eventually get that truth. Next question. Anne with an E. I like that. Where does the name Maitreya come from, and what's its meaning? Maitreya, the name Maitreya means happy one. And I can attest to that because the joy that he exudes the times that I have seen him. One of Benjamin Creme's master said, fear and joy are equally infectious, and Maitreya's joy is very infectious. So you couldn't help but be joyful yourself around him. It is, even if you're having a bad day and you see Maitreya, it's just, I don't know, it's like a light switch comes on in you, and it's like, wow, I want to be like that guy. Where does it come from? He actually was named by his master, who is the mother of the world, was his master back when he was just a struggling disciple like everybody else. But she named him, and she did a pretty good job of naming him. All right, what's the next question? What are your thoughts on Jesus being Isa from Kashmir? Side note, real friends help you move. That is true. According to the Ageless Wisdom teachings, Jesus appeared several times, in different incarnations in the Bible. The first time was around the time of Moses. Actually, he was a servant of Moses, I think, Joshua the son of Nun. And then he appeared again at the time of Ezra as Jeshua. And then he appeared again during the book of Zechariah as Joshua. And then, of course, Jesus was his next lifetime after that. And then his lifetime that he actually became a master was when he was the Greek philosopher of Apollonius of Tyana. There are a couple masters from that region of Kashmir. The first one is the master Kuthumi, and the other one is the master Moria. And they lived in that area for eons. Not until they moved right before the Chinese army came in and took that whole region over. And then they skedaddled and went somewhere else in the Himalayas. All right. Let's see what else. I have time for one more question. This is from Valerie Mack. I questioned what happened to me twice while pregnant. I was physically moved. First time I was on the back of a motorcycle involved in a slow speed accident, and I was in a split second standing on the sidewalk. Second time I was on the outside staircase while descending. On the third step, I was shooing a flying bug, and a split second I was standing on the ground. Missed 8 or so steps. Interesting. Both times it was as if nothing happened. I didn't dwell or question. Do you have an answer as to how or why this happened to me? You know, these masters save people all the time. I've been saved several times by these masters because I do stupid stuff. The most recent time I was up on a ladder and I fell off this ladder right into my driveway, and I called out to Maitreya right before I hit, and it was like I was falling at one speed, and then right when I called out his name, I slowed down and very gently was laid down on the concrete. So I didn't have any bumps or bruises, scratches, marks, anything on my skin, my clothes, nothing. Now, I will say this. People always relate being saved from an accident or something like that. They attribute it to angels, okay? And that's fine. You know, you don't have to believe what I'm saying in this regard. You can keep believing that it's an angel that saved you. That's fine too. But esoterically speaking, the angels are these masters who save people from these accidents. And they save people all the time. You probably were saved these couple times. You know, the motorcycle accident and I guess falling down the steps or whatever. And, you know, they do it all the time. Most of the time, you know, you might even recognize being saved sometimes, I guess. I don't know. Other times it can be quite dramatic, you know. The times that I've read, I used to subscribe to Share International magazine for years, and in the back of Share International magazine, people would write in their experiences. Some of them were Maitreya experiences, or the Master Jesus might have, you know, talked to them or visited them, or they saw somebody that was kind of peculiar or odd and questioned whether it was Maitreya or the Masters of Wisdom. Other times they were writing in that they were saved in an accident. And 9 times out of 10, from the years that I've read Share International magazine, it was always the Master Jesus who did it. You know, there were other masters who saved people too. The master from Tokyo might have saved somebody, or Maitreya himself might have saved somebody from an accident, but almost all the time it was the Master Jesus who did it. And the times that I asked Benjamin Creme who saved me from this particular accident or whatever, it was the Master Jesus. So could have been him. I don't know. You'll have to ask him when you see him. So eventually we'll see the Master Jesus along with Maitreya and these other masters. You can say, hey, you know, this experience happened to me with this motorcycle thing, you know, years ago or whatever, you know, did somebody save me from this, you know? And I mean, you guys ask Benjamin Creme stuff like that all the time. So eventually we'll be able to ask any one of these masters and they can tell you. They don't expect to get paid. So if it was the Master Jesus who did it, you don't owe him any money or anything like that. He did it out of the kindness of his own heart. Now, there was a couple funny experiences that Benjamin Creme talked about. Well, first one isn't funny, but he was talking about the time that his master saved him back when he was a late teenager or in his early 20s. And it was around the time of World War II. And he said apparently the Germans, I didn't know this, but they developed these wooden airplanes, really. They were almost like drones with propellers on it, and they would just launch them, and they'd have a missile or a grenade on there, and then once it ran out of gas, it would drop wherever it dropped, whether it was a schoolyard, a church, middle of a street, middle of a field, it didn't matter. They were just shooting it over there just to see what happened. And he was looking out the window, and he sees this thing coming at him, and it landed right in front of his flat in England. And right before it exploded, he got pushed out of the way. And he asked his master, when he started having contact with his master saved him from that experience. And then there was another one. This was the one that was kind of funny, was he was working with his master almost night and day for a long time, years and years and years, and to help build this relationship that he had with his master where he could communicate with them as easily as he could. And there was this one point, he said he was asking his master something, and his master went silent for a second and then came back, and he goes, well, what happened? And he goes, oh, I just had to save some stupid disciple that didn't look to the left when they were trying to cross the street. So we all do stupid stuff, and we're all helped and saved all the time by these masters. And if you aren't unaware of who these masters are, you might think, hey, it's an angel, it's a this, it's a that. But it's always one of the masters that does it. So hopefully these questions have been answered. If I didn't answer them the way that you wanted me to, or didn't answer it enough, simply repost the question, and I'll do my best next time to answer it a little bit better for you. But anyway, until next time, thank you so much, and have a wonderful day.
Remember to take action and help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos.